What I do is inconsequential. Why I do what I do is I get to shorten people's journeys every day. What I love about our hospitality industry is that it's our mission to make people feel cared for while on their journeys. Together, we'll explore what hospitality means in the built environment, in business, and in our daily lives. I'm Dan Ryan, and this is Defining Hospitality. Hey, everybody. Today's guest is someone who's dedicated over 20 years of his life to both the art and the science of hospitality design. He brings a relentless work ethic to every project he touches. He was previously honored and recognized by hospitality design magazines under their Wave of the Future shoutouts. He's a principal at Blur Workshop, who just celebrated their 10th anniversary. And I had the pleasure of recording this with him in person in their offices in Atlanta. Ladies and gentlemen, Foreman Rogers. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, Foreman Rogers. Hey, Foreman.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome to our office is more.
Well, I guess that's what I have to say. I have to say thank you for inviting me into this incredible office that you've built and team that you've built, and for making me feel at home, especially with the greatest ice in the world.
Chick-fil-A ice.
I love it.
The Atlanta ice.
So, I just want to let the listeners know, and we were talking about this before. I remember you in your former life, and I can't believe that you started Blur 10 years ago. I cannot believe how big this team is sitting behind us. I can't believe that 10 years has gone past, and it's been a blur.
It's a blur for sure.
But you should be really proud, and all of you should be really proud of what's going on here behind me. It's pretty awesome and buzzing.
Yeah, we are, and we feel very blessed. And it was, when you say me, it's really we for sure. There's about 8 of us that left a larger firm at one point and started this together. We're still together. Liz and Scott were the champions of the cause. They were both kind of the leaders in their perspective. Interiors versus architecture of hospitality, and kind of took us with them. And it's just been great to start this. It's kind of a dream come true. And it's been a lot of fun.
So a lot of the topics that have been coming up also have to deal with just kind of that entrepreneurial journey and kind of taking that step into the unknown, or the wild blue yonder, as the Air Force is right next to you. But I didn't realize, Blur to me has always been a really cool name, and it's been really awesome to see your journey. But I didn't realize that Blur was meant because you were bringing architecture and interiors together, and you wanted to blur the lines between them.
Right.
So first of all, that's awesome.
Yep. It was something that Scott and I used to say a lot, and he more than anybody, when we go into interview, how we blur the lines between interiors and architecture. That I have an architecture background, but I lead interiors. Liz is the same way. We have a lot of architects that, it's just cross back and forth constantly within our office that, no one looks down on an interiors project. Sometimes in bigger firms, you have interiors on one floor and you have architecture up here, and they kind of, here we're all mixed together in one bag. You have an architect working on a roof plan sometimes. I mean, an interiors person working on a site plan, and an architect working on a bar. They love it. They love learning about each other, and it's kind of given a respect in the office for each discipline in a way that's just really healthy and, makes everybody work really well together.
When you think about the 10-year, actually, before we get into the 10-year journey.
Okay. Hopefully it won't take 10 years.
No. Well, maybe it could. If you have a very detailed memory, maybe.
Yes.
Before we get into just the 10-year journey of where you are and how everything has evolved over the 10 years. But as you think about what you've built here, and not you, but you and your team and everyone here. So I know that you're big on we, not me. How does hospitality weave itself into what you've built here over this 10-year journey?
I mean, hospitality is woven within everything within his office, I would say, to everything that we try to do as a practice. It's, for us, hospitality is very emotional. You're constantly trying to evoke an emotion of some sort in every design. In order to do that, you have to kind of put yourself in someone else's shoes, put yourself in someone else's home, someone else's place. You have to really listen, find out what's going on and wherever you're creating this space. But you're ultimately trying to give the guest, evoke an experience, an emotion when they're there, whether it's a soccer stadium like we've done before, where it's just crazy, you get excitement, you got to build up, and there's so many things that make that happen, to a business hotel where you just want peace, you want order, you want to make it as easy as possible for them. They're traveling, they're on the road all the time, to, a boutique hotel that's all about fun and drinking and night clubbing and all that kind of stuff. There's so many things we're trying to do to make sure guests get an emotional response for every single thing that they're doing within the space. To do that, once again, you have to listen. And then it's not just listening to the owner, although they're the most important. You're trying to figure out what is their goal here. Usually we want to make some money, or we want to get more rooms, we want more leisure guests, we want this, we want that. You listen to them first, then you start to listen to people that are maybe down from them a little bit. Maybe it's the chef, maybe it's the person that's working at the restaurant, maybe it's the rooms manager. We'll go as far as even housekeeping. Once we've gotten to a room design or something like that, to say how are you going to clean this? How is this going to work for you? And we take all this information as much as we can. There's so much. It's like the hardest. I feel like hospitality designers have the hardest job, because you have all this information that you have to take. There's no formula. There's not a specific formula you have so many different types of brands, so many different types of hotels. You take it all, you pull it together, and then you have to figure out your narrative. What story are you going to tell? What emotion are we trying to evoke with this design, or whatever this hospitality project might be? And the whole time, I think you and I've talked about, you're managing expectations. You're managing expectations of the client, expectations of the guest. Like, we're constantly trying to troubleshoot and think how they're going to feel within the space as well. So it's emotional for us because we get really close to it. It's special to us. That's why we do it. We love it so much here. We're pretty much all hospitality. We do some every once in a while mixed use, but not as much as you'd think. I think it just comes down to emotions, and it's an emotional journey when you're doing a project. And in this entire firm is an emotional journey as well. We started 10 years ago.
There were 10 of you who started 10 years ago.
There were eight of us that left a larger firm and started this group. And we grew quickly. We added 2, 3 really right off the bat. Some that had worked with us in the past that had come over. Like I said, Liz and Scott had kind of championed the whole thing from the beginning. They made this happen. We would not be here without them at all. They were, great role models, also great mentors of mine for years, many years. And I was, very blessed and very honored that they took me along on this journey, that took me to that next level with them. And it's an honor. And we've just built something that we feel really special here. We have a group of people that are, it's a young crowd, which we love. We love the young group. They bring enthusiasm to it. They're excited about it. Like I said, we sit together. So the architects and interiors all are kind of mixed. And as we've built, we've really tried to do our very best to find the best employees we possibly can. We don't want to hire. You don't want to hire and when you're busy, and not hire when you're not. We want people that will stay here. We want to keep them. I don't want to spend 5 years molding someone and trying to help them as much as possible for them to leave. And we've had a really good. Our retention's pretty good. Yeah, we're pretty good. I like to say that usually the majority of the time they leave just because of relocation or a different career path. But we've been very blessed to keep a lot of people we've had for years.
I want to go back to me again. I can't believe it's been 10 years. Like, that's so crazy. But as we started the conversation and in speaking earlier, you said you're a really good listener. You have to be a really good listener. You said listen like 15 times already, let's just say. So in the course of the 10 years, has your listening ability or active listening, how has it evolved? Has it evolved? And if it has, how has it? And how does it roll into what Blur's success has been?
I think, for 10 years, right? So you learn to listen in different ways as you grow older. You have better instincts, so you know how to ask better questions. Each project's completely different. But I think it's a constant struggle, I think, for a lot of designers to sit back, be quiet, and listen. We're all so creative. We all have great ideas. We all trying to throw stuff at a project, and you have to just kind of sit back and revisit what is it that they wanted for this project, and how do we make that come to life and make it the best we possibly can. I mean, I would say that the majority of our projects, we have to kind of like, we have to draw a line in the sand because we just keep on going. We're always, we're always thinking about it, revisiting it, option after option. It's, it's like I said, it's emotional. So people get really into it. And we just don't give up until we feel like we've given the client, or we've heard them, and what we've delivered is an answer to that. And here in our office, I think what makes us successful here in this office is we kind of check our egos at the door here. There's not a lot of that here. And, if there's a big ego here, they don't last very long. Check your ego at the door. Scott always likes to say there's no bad question. There's no bad answer. So when we're in a group, people feel that they can speak and talk about things and have ideas and suggestions. And that goes not just for a project, but in the office. I don't know about AT that well. If we need a new 3D printer or something like that, people make a proposal for it and we say yes. This is what we've tried really hard to instill in everybody that works here, that this is their office as well, and they're building something for the future. So if they have something to add, bring it to the table. We're constantly trying to figure out how to grow and be better, and how do we make things better for the future. Kind of thinking ahead, and it does instill kind of this camaraderie with everybody within the group. We have people kind of heading up different things that they've just taken interest in. I don't know if we have a shop in the back that, I don't know if you've gone back there yet. It's kind of a mess right now. There's some chainsaws back there right now. They're cutting up, they're doing a table for one of our projects and stuff, and they're kind of having fun. But, there's a whole team that's kind of taking that on. And what's great is they also will teach others in the office how to do it. So they have lessons where they'll come in and teach people how to make certain things. And, that shop doesn't make any money for us. I mean, we build models from it. We see different perspective, but it just gives another layer to our practice that we think is important, that you get to work with your hands. You get to build a model. Who does that anymore? And it really does get people closer to the project. It's a little bit more fun. It kind of breaks your day from just constantly being at the computer. Anybody can go back there with the right training and kind of work with people on it. We've done all kinds of things, from custom concrete block to tables. We've built some baguettes. We've done a ton of modeling. I think you can see the whole road.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of models going on.
Love it.
To big, full scale mock-ups. That's just like one area that I don't know what's going on in there. I see what comes out, but there's a group of guys that they've taken that on. That's their baby. They love that shop, and they're making sure everything works. It's soundproof. You don't hear anybody back there. They've made it happen, and it's all been done by us, not outsourced. Majority of this office was built here, and Scott Morris basically built the whole daggum thing with a group. It's pretty amazing. So there's just this sense of pride in what we have, this kind of, which I think is something we do in all our projects. You can kind of see it here in the office, and then you can see it transfer kind of over to each project, how prideful we are of each one and each client.
I want to go back to that high retention that you guys are so proud of, with the entire team that you built that's right behind me here. And then also talking about listening. So in a way, Scott said there's no such thing as a dumb question or a dumb answer. Was it dumb question, dumb answer?
Or bad answer.
Or bad answer.
Bad idea.
Bad idea. How do you think that and checking your ego at the door, and no such thing as a bad question or a bad idea, how has that helped you retain this team, build and retain the team that you have here? But also, how can that help you? How does that mentality from your life experience and past work experience, how is that different, and how does that help develop these multifaceted hospitality projects?
Well, I think for hospitality, you can't have a huge ego. I mean, granted, there are some big egos out there, I'm sure, and I know a few. But, for most of our clients, and most of the clients, I would say that the majority of people in what I do, you have to look at things 50 different ways. So you have to be able to listen and pivot. You have to, that whole idea of, there's no wrong answer. There's no wrong, I'll have a client suggest something. And I'll think, oh, that's weird. We will go after it. You want us to discover this, or study this, we'll study it. And sometimes we're like, that's where, once we've studied it and kind of really worked through it, it works and it's great. And so there's that, I learn something new every day. There's no, like, I have a prescription of how this is going to work. I don't have a path that this is how we do things. It's always changing. I guess every day I learn something new on the job, which is super refreshing. And I love telling anybody that's young that you're going to learn, the more you can learn, the more we're going to throw at you. It's amazing to see people get so involved that they want more because they've kind of taken it on as their project. It's not just me running a project.
I think it's also interesting thinking, like you said, you have to look at things 50 different ways and really kind of break it down, whether it's the modeling, whether it's just checking your ego at the door, asking the questions, whether it's, I don't know, somehow I think it all ties back into the name, which I didn't realize was blurring the lines.
And we have we have design reviews where you have other people that aren't even on the project sit down and go, why are you doing this? Like that kind of, well, I'm doing it because of that. What would you do? This kind of back and forth, which is great. I would say I've never made a decision in this office without asking 20 people what they think of it. Mm-hmm. I'm one end user. I know what I like in a room. Well, what does she like in a room? What does he like in a room? And we're asking the client as well. Before we go to the client, we need to make sure we have all these other kind of bases covered, which is nice. It's listening is so important. And I think getting everybody's opinion is so important. You just want to make sure that people feel like they're being heard, and ultimately it makes you heard even more because they're learning constantly. It's back and forth. We sit in this box that's over here. I think you saw it, and we do a lot. And we put a Bluebeam on one side and a Revit model on the other side, and we're going back and forth, looking at the drawing, going through it, hitting details. And it's the whole team, not just interiors, looking at the interiors part, and architecture looking at the architecture part. And we have some people a lot of times that aren't even part of that team listening in just to make comments and technical and why are you doing this? You could do it simpler, doing it this way. And that goes even as far as picking out of fabrics. And, we have a whole stash of fabrics over there, and they'll put everything up on the wall for a room. And then everybody will come by, one by one and kind of critique or give advice. And no one's upset that they're saying anything. There's a lot of unwarranted or asked for advice, but it's constantly being given in this office. Constantly a comment here or there. Oh, I know where you could get this. It's sharing, which I think is big. I think I worked at one point at a firm that everything was kind of mine or theirs. It was like very
siloed.
And your project was yours. You wouldn't share that maybe that contact with somebody. Here, everybody shares everything, constantly.
But on another side of that, in what we're doing, right, we're designing, we're building, we're providing for these real estate assets, right?
Yeah.
So they're hotels, and time matters. So I appreciate the blurring of the lines and the collaboration and getting all the buy-in, but there's also a schedule.
Well, you have to make a decision. It's not like we just go on for days. Of course, you take what you hear. And usually somebody has to make a decision. Usually it's me or somebody else that's running the project will make a decision on this is okay, great. This is where we're headed. And then we go to the client and come back and get some feedback. But, it's not like we're just, designing away here, and we're on schedules. We're here to make money as well. We're not there, there's two things here. They're trying to make money on their project and do it in a tight schedule. Schedules are ridiculous these days. I think we have a project going on right now that it's the first time in probably 4 years that we're actually getting to go out and site measure before things are made. Like the building's being built and we're going in. It's just schedules are so hard nowadays. You don't have that anymore. You used to have it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So schedules are huge, but we also too, aren't going to let the schedule we'll push back on the schedule if we have to try and get that best product that possibly can. Late nights, of course, but I think that it's not just us over here thinking constantly.
Right. But it's not rambling on. I'm always amazed at because you do want as much collaboration and you do want to find that, the best path forward, but you also have to
do it quick.
You have to do it quick.
Yeah.
And it's really cool that there's very few walls behind me here. Right. So there is, it just seems like an incubator for collaboration, and there can be a lot of distraction in that, but you guys have seemed to manage it very well.
Well, that's why we have a lot of conference rooms.
Yeah.
I mean, on any given day, you might see me locked in one, but you're right. I think that the open concept of our office probably speeds that collaboration up faster than anything. No one said there's no closed offices. Everybody's kind of out there together, and everybody's kind of asking questions and cross-pollinating constantly through the office, to where you're not having to have a meeting necessarily to have that input that you might want on your project. It's just right there behind you. Somebody's walking by. It's just constant.
I think another thing that's different, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're here in Atlanta. We're in your office. Everyone's coming to work every day. They're still in so many different places across the country. It's still 3, 4, sometimes 5 days. So I think, again, if you're not coming in the office 1 day or 2 days, that's 20 or 40% a loss of collaboration.
Absolutely, 100%. That you're not going to get on a Zoom call. You know, when you're at someone's desk and you're in real time looking at their, you can sketch it out real quick with them, or they can sketch something out, or really quickly you can get up and go walk over to another project, pull out a box and say, this is what we used on this last project. What do you think about this? Or we saw this project, we didn't get to use it here. Would you like to? Or go and get 4 people together really quickly and huddle up in a conference room. Like, it's super. We were firm believers that you need to be in the office.
Right.
We don't have. We have.
But through COVID, right?
We were right after COVID. We were in,
and right after. So then, but also, okay. So let's talk about that and your high retention. Because I also think a lot of people want to come in the office every day.
Everybody here wants to be here. Every once in a while when somebody's sick, they go, oh, I hate working from home, because they realized it's so much more, it's more fun. I mean, everybody has fun here. I know sometimes we're not having the best time with a deadline, of course. You know what I mean? But it's like you're in hell, but like any other, any other job, you're going to have your moments. But, I think everybody here has fun with what they do. They like to hear from other people, and working from home is just so hard, especially for young people. I can't tell you how many people have come through and, for job interviews. So how many days off do I get? How many work from home days do I get? Like, you just graduated, you get none. Like, why would you work from home? You don't know anything. And really, they get kind of upset about it. And I was like, you kind of look at this as a day off, don't you? It's like, this is your day where you can go to yoga. This is not what we're in the business for here, kind of, and they're not a fit for this office.
Well, and I think that's also really important. Like, sometimes you just know what's a good fit, what's not a good fit. I will say, from doing this podcast, a really good channel of feedback I get is just in that hybrid work situation. The younger people especially are missing out on 20 to 40 to 60%. Each day is 20% of that collaboration and learning. And especially here, and not just here, but in other places,
sure.
You just miss, even if you're not involved in what's going on, you see how someone's handling an issue and see that it's not okay. Or like, oh, I didn't know I could react that way, or I shouldn't react that way.
Absolutely.
And it's all that unlearned,
just ways of the trade.
Yeah, exactly. All the shop
what
talk.
We do. Yeah, shop talk. Or how do you get, you have a problem, how do they handle it, and who do they go to? Half the time people come to me with a problem, and I will direct them to 3 other people within the office. Like, I know about this, but these people know better. If you can't get a hold of them, call me back, we'll figure it out. But, we're constantly trying to hook people up that have had similar situations and let them learn from it. We do lessons learned, of course. I think most firms do that. It's kind of a hard thing to kind of swallow sometimes after some projects. But it's helpful. You get to hear the horror story and how you never do it.
Challenges and problems on projects or in anything they suck when you're going through them, but I also love them because
they're fun.
It really helps,
we're in the
the
business of puzzles, right? We're trying to fit all of this into one thing, or maybe it's just ideas into one thing, right? Like a narrative, but then we're literally trying to fit all of this into a 5,000 square foot box, or, whatever it is that you're given. You're constantly, and it's a puzzle. And I always tell people, like, it's fun. It should be fun. When you're designing a piece of furniture, you got to think about it. It's not just a pretty picture that you find out, if we're doing custom and trying to figure out how to make something that's oversized. You have to think through, how is it going to be put together? I know we have people that are better at than us that will be doing it. But if you think about it now, you won't be disappointed when it comes out later. And I think that, puzzles are what we're, a lot of times we have to get our engineers involved to help us with that puzzle, but we're constantly trying to figure out the best possible way to do something. And it's fun. It's like, it's kind of mind games, that you get to still play. It hasn't stopped. I mean, I'm very blessed and lucky that at this firm, I still get to design, still get, a lot of times you get, a lot of firms grow differently. And one of the things we really, really wanted was we all love design. Everybody that's, principal here, or project manager, they love to design. And we didn't want to give that up just to have a firm. And we're still doing it, which is great. I would be very sad if I was just managing people all the time. If I lose my mind.
I want to go back to that. And I think that as you were saying how you've, kind of maintained that where everyone is still designing and like different companies evolve in different ways, and you were able to help shape that culture, right? So everyone is helping solve these puzzles. When we look at Blur, the name Blur, and blurring the lines between architecture and interiors, walk me through like how you felt at your previous firm before you were, there's like always that anxiety of like, do I do this step, right? Do I take this step into this blurry unknown? Number one, like what was going through your mind at that point? And then, 10 years have gone by. So you start off thinking it's going to be one way. There's a blurry future always, but what's really come into focus over these 10 years? And what are you most proud of?
I think, at the beginning it was scary, but it probably wasn't as scary for me as it probably was for Liz and Scott. They were kind of putting up the money at the beginning of this, and they were risking their whole, they were at a certain time in their life that I'm in mine kind of now. And, with that, later becoming part owner, I have those, I realized the anxiety that's behind all of this, which makes this happen. But it was kind of scary, but it was also exciting. I was ready for a change anyway. It was kind of those things where it was another city, or I don't know what it was. It was kind of a stalled, we were kind of like, we were not having the best time at the place we were before. We were traveling constantly. We weren't really seeing each other. There wasn't a lot of time to work on things together. It was because of all the travel, we were kind of, what do you call it? Ships in the night, kind of coming in and coming out. And starting this firm was a totally different thing. We really worked hard to say, we're not going to do that. We concentrate on the US. We want to be in the same time zone as much as possible. We know that's not the case now, of course, but when we started off, it was that case. I remember we said, okay, 35 people, that'll be great. And we just hit 50, a few weeks ago.
Wow.
The 50th employee. So, it's that kind of, that's the kind of thing, now as a partner, you stay up, you get a little nervous at night about, for sure, kind of keeps you up, but it's exciting. I think we built something special here.
But then as far, okay, so you were nervous, we were
nervous,
a little scared. Scott and Liz might have been more scared because they were, going all in, but at a certain point, the belief is a good trapeze net, right? And you have to believe, but has anything surprised you from 10 years ago to now, as far as like that blurry future to where you got, to where we are now, where we're sitting right now, and what's going on? And like, what are you most proud of in that 10 years?
Well, I think the blur's been the same as far as what we do here. I would say what I'm most proud of is, and I think, and this is more on a personal level, I guess, than anything else, is I'm excited to come to work every day. Like, I really don't, I'm excited to get here and meet on things or talk about things. I want to see these people, I want to be here. And I think that for anyone in this industry is a blessing. I mean, I can't tell you, I have so many friends that are in different, segments of the world, and it's just a job to them, and they're not really happy. They're not excited.
I see that a lot in our industry too.
And I just, I feel like I'm very blessed to come to work every day, call my, these are my fellow principals and people that work here, friends that we tend to take care of each other, but we also just have fun together as well. It's hard, like I have days, where it's just one fire after another, but it's kind of fun when you figured out that fire. And like I tell them, we're not curing cancer here. There's always an answer. We can figure this out. Sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes, we're not perfect. but there's always an answer to it. Let's fix it. Let's not run away from it. And it's kind of a sense of accomplishment each fire that goes out, or you put down for a little while. And so I think that personally, that's probably the thing I'm most proud about. I hope that everyone here feels the same way, that they're excited to come to work every day. I think we've also, where we don't have, I wanted to circle back, where we don't have a kind of a work from home policy. Some people do get to have different schedules depending on family, things like that, but we do really push travel. We really, somebody's going to be traveling. We're like, we'll work around it. You work with your team, you figure it out. I would say that this is a really well-traveled team. I think you can't learn enough from travel. I know every time I do it, I learn more and more. You learn compassion. You learn how to get around. You learn different cultures. You learn, once again, problem solving on the fly almost every time, especially when you're young and you're traveling at a different price point than maybe you are when you're older, and, going as fast and as little as you can. I don't know if you saw our fridge in there, but we have like 5,000 magnets from all over the world. Like everybody has to bring back a tacky magnet from wherever they've traveled. And it's kind of crazy. I walk in there some days, I'll have, get myself a Diet Coke, and I just start looking at all the different places and just shocked at how far and diverse everyone's been. So I think that, as I said, there's so many important things about hospitality, but I think the number one thing is you got to travel. Like, I can't imagine being in this business and not loving to travel. We're all in it because we love hotels. Like, it's a living, breathing machine when you go in there. It's a whole thing, working 24 hours, 7 days a week. And it's just churning and churning. And we do some big hotels where it's like churning in a way that it's like a mini city almost. And it's fascinating. It's just fascinating to see how they work, and different hotels in different places and different sizes. And, we all tease that every one of us here, whatever, their partners would always, they all know the drill. Don't go in the room. Let me photograph it first, and you can come in 5 minutes. It's like that kind of thing where we're always constantly, sharing pictures and seeing things. And we got this MO. It's like, I think it's the hospitality, it's in our blood kind of thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
So to take that idea of blurring the lines of architecture and design, then also this like intense collaboration, open floor plan, everyone there workshopping, looking at puzzles or problems from 5 different directions. I know it's probably like all of the projects you work on are like your pets or children, where you just have to love them all equally. But is there a project recent or in the past of the past 10 years that really exemplifies the blur, the collaboration, and the puzzling?
That's tough. It can't have a favorite child, but
maybe not. Maybe not a favorite, but maybe one that like exemplifies all of those 5 things, or a part of a project.
It's just it's tough because we've had several. There's many. And I would say there's not specifically one. I think when we get, there's several types of projects that are more susceptible, I guess, to being more collaborative than others. I can't really say one project is my favorite at the moment, or that exemplifies that the most. We're trying to constantly do that on every single project. I mean, I'm enjoying so many projects right now. We're doing, I think we do a lot of work with Ryman Hospitality, and we're doing a lot of work with them right now still. And they've been a client that kind of kicked us off. Like when we first started the firm, they came with us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were like, it was like, we had a restaurant project. It was the old Sunset Sam's, which became more restaurant. And this year, that hotel and that property, and I've known a lot of the guys, the Jim's been there the whole time, and he's kind of moved into a Marriott role now, but I know everybody's so well there. We finally made the full, it's a massive hotel, 1,600 rooms plus another three something. And we've come full circle. We're finishing the lobby and all the rooms are being done. It's kind of like, it's like that crowning achievement of, and that's architects and interiors working together for everything.
And maybe as a client, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know some of their properties, I don't know all, but they all seem to be massive, large format.
Theirs are, yeah.
Huge, like there's convention, there's rooms, there's restaurant, there's entertainment. They're just these mega
mini city
projects. But in a way, you kind of need to look at those holistically and blur, and architecture, design. There's probably so many different challenges and puzzles and systems, and
it's complicated for sure. And working with them for so long, we kind of have that. We've been able to kind of plan ahead, kind kind of set a stage for how this hotel will mature and grow um, and up itself, kind of up the game on it. Every single time we're just trying to make it better, and coming around. So when we come around to the lobby, like we're doing now, the lobby, it's going to feel like it was built when all the other stuff was renovated. The rooms go with everything. It's a holistic approach that we kind of try to keep around the whole hotel, especially this one. We're going to Texan right now. We've done work out there. We built the tower out there. Now we're doing all the guest rooms.
That's like thousands of rooms.
It's a lot.
Or 1,000.
It's over 1,000.
Over 1,000.
Yeah, it's like 6. There's a lot.
So I would say that they are a very unique type of client. Right?
Correct.
Okay, and huge. Like most hotel ownership groups do not have projects like that.
It's very unique. What they have is I think they're the largest hotels in the world that are non-gaming. Wow. So they have more rooms than any other hotel that's non-gaming. Like they're basically like a big Vegas hotel with that kind of size, but they're non-gaming. It's convention. We come from a convention background, believe it or not. Like we worked at TBS years ago, and they're great at conventions. That's where I first met Scott. I think it was conventions. I think the DC Convention Center. And so that knowledge has really helped us with them, because they have that convention center that convention center department or part of their hotel, and then it's also to the hotels and the restaurants. So you get to do all of it in one hotel.
Yeah, massive flows of people.
Massive flows. And I think our experience with convention centers really helps us with that. Like, we're always asking, where are the majority of people coming from? Like, we're figuring out where they're coming from. How are they passing by this space? How are we getting more visibility? And, when all this lets out, where do they all go? That kind of, I think for years we were in the business of moving people really well through spaces because of our background in convention centers many years ago. And it's just kind of carried forward with them. But then we kind of, they've been fantastic. They're a massive group, but then we do a ton of smaller hotels. I think one of my favorites that we're doing now, I can see some of it. It's we're doing a boutique hotel at the Air Force Academy called Polaris that Coral Tree's doing with us. Matthew Southwest is developing. GJ's the builder, and it's been a big collaboration for sure on that project. But it's a smaller, more attainable, and it's historic, but it's mid-century. It's got all these things.
Cool.
It's totally different, and then we have some, and I would say those within the past 5 years, getting to work on the Columbus Crew Soccer Stadium, one of the best experiences of my life, and they won that year. The year that we built, it was like that kind of, they won the whole thing, and it was like this super exciting, and you could to get in fan world and build these suites and these spaces and these big, once again, moving a lot of people, but into bigger and smaller clubs was a blast. Like, we get to touch this office touches so many different kinds of projects. They're all hospitality based. We're hired because we're good at hospitality, but they're all different. Ryman's huge, where we might have this one that's smaller. We do one-off restaurants all the time. Once again, they're not the biggest money maker in the world, but they're fun.
So let me ask this question, because I totally respect, like, pets and children. We love them all equally. But if you were to find a new client that's somewhere between a restaurant and a Ryman, right? So that's a huge spectrum there. Yeah. But when you do find a client like that and you kick them off on your Blur collaborative team, awesome process, what would they say? I like it, how people, because everyone works with everyone, but like, how would they say that working with you is different than working with someone else, other than giving you the next job?
I would say,
or what do they appreciate?
I would say they appreciate the fact that we answer the call as soon as we answer every call. We will give many options. We'll find the best option for them. We always, I would say, always give them a product that probably exceeds their expectations. We're always thinking a little bit higher than maybe they are, but we know we can do it. We know we can push them in that direction, hopefully, and it works, and they make money, and they become successful about it. And we've not just thought about how to make money, but how to make something last, make it, kind of timeless sometimes, they want to have to reinvent things. And I think coordination wise, we're really big on that. Our architects are fantastic at, figuring a lot of things out that I wouldn't know necessarily heading up most of the interiors group, but I would say that responsiveness, like we're here, and then owning things. We're the first ones to own something we did wrong, and we'll fix it. There's never well, it happened because of this. It's like, okay, it's messed up. How do we fix it first?
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll figure out if we want to point fingers later, that's fine. And I think that schedules, we work within schedules, we work within budgets. We're not like not looking at their money the whole time we're spending in building things. I think that that's something that clients really appreciate. That we're constantly trying to figure out how to keep the spirit of the project, but of course, wrangle it within budget.
In a way, you're giving and receiving hospitality with them by anticipating and going back to what you were originally saying, just by listening. And I think what you just said resonates with me so much about problems happen all the time. And like we said earlier in the conversation, they suck when you're going through them, but once you're done and you have a plan, not even when they're fully finished, once there's a plan and a solution, it's the best feeling in the world. And it might take a while to work your way through it, but I've always been, and all the companies I've ever associated myself with and built, it's okay, there's a problem. Let's figure out a solution. We can figure out whose issue it was later, but we have to get moving
and jump on it immediately. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, something's happened, or, say the steel didn't show up, or something fell on the site, or, something's not working right. I can't tell you how many phone calls on the weekend were like, all hands on deck. Let's meet for 4 hours. Let's figure out what's going on. Let's get this fixed. And it's not a problem because we're not going to put it off till Monday,
because you want everyone to know that we got their back. We got your back.
We want to be, we're proactive. I mean, I think that's something
but that also comes just from the heart and caring. Like that's like the ultimate value, right?
I think, wouldn't you say that most, I feel like a lot of my friends in our hospitality, I think we all care a little too much.
Yes.
Like we're all so, I mean, like I said earlier, it's emotions.
We're
and
so
it gets
far
emotional.
On the empathy, we're high on the empathy scale. Yeah.
I mean, like how many of us when we were young kind of left the room for a little bit, kind of like upset about something, or you get so passionate about it, it's really hard to let it go. You don't want to cut that out of the project, but there's no other way. So I think that, I think we're all, in this industry because it's a passion. And you can't help but be emotional about it. Like I said, between we walk into we're creating rooms that you walk into and hopefully evoke an emotion.
Yeah.
Can you tell you how many times I've walked into a restaurant and go, wow, that kind of feeling sometimes you just you want to feel so at peace, like, that you don't even notice that all these things are being done, that you've done it so well that no one has anything to complain about, like that's when you've done your job really well, right? That they haven't even noticed that all these things that you've created made it seamless and easy for them to navigate the space, use the space. That's probably like the best compliment, right?
Yeah. And on that whole caring side and empathy side, I was sharing with you, I don't remember when this was, and it could have been before it must have been before you were at Blur, but one of my first memories of you was talking, I don't even know what the story was, but it was about your grandma in Alabama, maybe.
Oh my God, yes, probably. I talked about her a lot when she was pretty influential, and I think on all her grandkids.
Yeah, but I just remember just how heartfelt the story was that you were telling, and I don't even remember, but you just always struck me as like a super caring person, right? And just like
to hear.
On the spectrum of caring, like over on the other side. You know what I mean?
I think that, I think we have to be, in this, I think that creative people are that way, like we're telling a story constantly, even if we're building something, you're still telling a story. So I think growing up with a family that told stories and talked about things and talked about trips and, experiences, like her growing up, my grandmother, it might have been her talking about her grandfather, her grandfather, her father, who was my great grandfather, was old enough to tell me all about every single war. I mean, from the Civil War on, he was like 5. So it was like, you're constantly, these storytelling that we're doing, growing up and getting to hear about things in your own life. I feel like you didn't realize you're going to use that later in life to be able to tell stories to other people about what you're doing with projects. We're constantly trying to tell a story. Why are we doing this? Why are we building this hotel? What is this hotel? What's the point of this hotel? What's the spirit of this hotel? What's the heart of it? What's the heart of this restaurant? And you're constantly telling stories. So I think, maybe it's a Southern thing. I don't know. You can tell me. But storytelling is a big thing in the South. And it kind of bleeds over, I guess, into life and into work.
I do it, I appreciate your caring and your open-heartedness, and like I've just always picked up that
That's
vibe
very
from
nice
you.
of
So
you.
I really appreciate it. And as you think about, to reflect on the past 10 years, I know you're celebrating it this Friday, your
Yeah,
10-year anniversary.
super excited.
And I mean, that's so awesome. So congratulations. But as you reflect at the 10 years you got under your belt and like look forward with what you've built here, what you all have built here, the clients, the projects, the team, the retention, what's exciting you most as you look into the next 10 years?
I think looking out there, looking out at what's coming behind me, this office was created to kind of grow and kind of pass on, like I will be here for a certain amount of period and then it will pass on to someone else. And I get excited to see the talent that's out there. I'm constantly, surprised. And it's exciting to see, and it's, kind of exciting to see them kind of come forward and hopefully take on more and more roles and get them out there in front of more and more people, that's what gets me most excited about the future. Like hopefully we built something strong enough here, like from the start to now, that it will be here for a long time, and that it'll still be the quality of work and still be the place that it is that people want to come and work here. Clients, we love it when clients come here because they come in and they end up loving it, but that's what makes me most excited about the next 10 years is seeing the talent that's out there and the people that we get to work with. I think that the possibility, as we've grown, we've gotten more clients, and the possibility of going to other places and other states and things that, there's goals, right? I want to hit that place before I finish my career. I want to hit that place, kind of thing, that I get excited about and hope that will happen.
Awesome. So before you made the step to join Blur and become a principal and like take that leap from that where you were nervous and scared, like right before you were doing it, that place, that foreman, if the foreman I'm sitting across from right now was to show up in front of that foreman, would you have any advice or experience you would share?
I would probably tell him to get a little more serious earlier.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Tell me about that.
I think that, you kind of have the nativity when you're younger to not realize all the pieces and parts that are going on around you to make you come to work every day, but you're not really paying attention to everything that has to happen to make sure you have all of that to do your work and the work that's coming in and going out and all these other pieces and parts. I'm shocked. I would be, I wasn't expecting it to be this great. So, I'm pleasantly surprised all the time as to where I am in my life and this firm. And I don't think for 2 seconds every day, I don't say how blessed I am that I'm just so excited that this happened, that I was that I was thought of enough to be on this journey with other people that I love to work with. But I would have told myself, kind of foreign, look a little bit more, be a little bit more, maybe listen more. There you go. Start listening sooner. Here you go. There you go. Back to listening. Listen sooner and harder, like really, develop those skills earlier, would probably be the best advice I'd give anybody.
I love it. And on the listening front, it's been, I think you're at 10 years. I think next week or the week after is the 3-year anniversary of starting this.
Wow.
And I think over that 3 years, I've become a much better listener too. Because this is such a weird way to communicate with people.
It is. We're not all used to doing it this way, but you're doing really good. Right? You're really good at it.
Oh, no, but
it's like you've been doing this for a long time, to be honest.
3 years. But it goes by so fast. But what I'll say is it's an unusual form of communication, right? So typically if we're out to dinner or at lunch or something, it's, do you want sparkling or still? What drink do you want? What appetite? You're always interrupted.
Yeah.
And this is like an uninterrupted hour of just
talking
and trying to, and really for me to listen and see where you're lighting up and then like kind of dig in a little bit more.
Well, it's also better for me. It's easier because I know you. I've known you for years. You were one of the first people I met in the industry. we've been together a long time, but it's also nice to have that friendship with somebody that you can talk to about this, that knows the industry really well,
Mm-hmm.
been in it for a long time, and it makes it much more comfortable. So you don't get to have that, like you said, uninterrupted conversation with someone that knows what you're all about to an extent.
Yeah.
And get to find out more. I mean, somebody needs to do this to you. Somebody needs to put you in this seat.
That's like dreadful.
It is. Somebody needs to, yeah. Maybe I'll do it to you. Turn the camera. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. And it's just always weird. I feel like I have nothing to say. Like I feel like I like talking to other people and getting their stories out, which I'm
You're good at
probably
that.
full of shit. I probably have plenty to say, but it's I just don't like it. I don't like the spotlight on me.
I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it's something that I was really looking forward to today, but I know you and I really wanted to do it. You know, it's like one of those. I was teasing them. I was like, maybe I should have a cocktail before I do this, because it makes you a little nervous, but it's been great.
Have I made you feel comfortable? How have I made you feel?
I am super comfortable now. I'm all good. Yeah, I appreciate it. You made this easy.
Well, thank you. I mean, this has just been wonderful, and again, a heartfelt congratulations on 10
No,
years. I
appreciate
mean,
it.
that's fucking amazing.
It's awesome. Yeah, we're excited.
So congratulations.
Absolutely.
If people wanted to learn more about you or Blur, what's the best way?
Our website, you can go to that very easily. Our names are on there. You can call me, and there's a list of people on there. There's also a link that can do an inquiry. We've found some of our best clients that way. Like some people are like, I can't believe I found you putting a link on that. Called them back the next day and said, saw what you wrote and become a client. And Instagram, a lot of people follow us on Instagram.
Oh yeah, that was also surprising. So if anyone's looking for a job, I don't know if you're hiring now or not, but it was really surprising to me that you're getting most of your new hires.
It was surprising for us, like 3 or 4 years ago, we realized that people were coming in. I was like, well, how did you find us? Like, you went to Yale. What are you coming out here with? I followed you on Instagram. I was like, what? But it's amazing how, it's a big thing. Instagram, it's powerful, it's fun, but I would say half the employees out there found us on Instagram, or they were following us on Instagram during school or whenever, and they wanted to come to Atlanta. So, they interviewed the firms that they were following, and it was really nice. It was kind of, for some of the old fogies that, were like, oh, Instagram, like, I love it a lot. But, some people are like, oh, I don't think it's that powerful. Like, oh, it's powerful.
A heartfelt thank you for your time and putting yourself out there and letting our listeners experience you.
No, it was great to have you.
Thank you. And also thank you, listeners, because without you, we wouldn't be here. We keep growing. So please remember to like, follow, subscribe, and all that stuff. And we'll have more and more. So thank you.